What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is Wednesday, which of course means it's time for another West New York Wednesday here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today once again comes from the Ithaca Beer Company, and they're out of Ithaca, New York, and this is their Fuggly Sweater, and this is the 2022 release. So they're calling this one a dark lager brewed with ginger, cloves, nutmeg, and cinnamon. It comes in at 5.7% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review, and this can is just over 6 weeks old. So another West New York Wednesday where the brewery is not from the West New York area, but it has ties to the West New York area because Ithaca has been distributing beer here in the Buffalo, New York area for a very long time. I cut my teeth with IPAs with their flower powers, like one of the first, honestly, the first IPA that I was just like, these are pretty solid. Like I can get behind an IPA. And yeah, I always like trying beers from them, especially new beers. And I've been eyeing this one. I think they released it the last couple of years. I didn't pick it up, so I pulled the trigger this year, and here we are. So I will say one thing about this is that there is no ABV, I believe, on the label at all. Like I had to look on their website and it said 5.7. Yeah, it just tells you all the ingredients, but no ABV. And Ithaca has done that before, so kind of interesting. So this is a lager that's brewed with spices, so pretty cool. I mean, not a lot of breweries do it. Sam Adams has their winter lager, which is somewhat similar in terms of brewing it with spices and having a lager base. So we'll see how this one is, but I'm hoping it's pretty delicious. So let's give it a pour here. All right, something like that. Yeah, looking nice. I love the label too. Like it is a fugly sweater, as people say, and it's really, really nice, I think. Nice label. Anyway, yeah, so on camera, I always say this. I said this during, what was the review? Saranac Caramel Porter. I'm like, oh, it looks like a, it doesn't really look like a porter. It looks like a Scotch ale, blah, blah, blah. And I look on camera, it's like, yeah, it looks pitch black. Maybe this will as well, but like I hold it up to light. That has like a ruby red look to it, almost a mahogany kind of tinge. But on camera, it's probably gonna look darker. It's just how my camera is. Has some fine sediment, very, very fine sediment. Not a ton of carbonation pushing up, just over a finger of, that's like a straight on, like dark khaki kind of colored head. It looks, yeah, a little bit darker than normal. Pretty creamy looking, slightly soap sudsy, but like tightly compact bubbles. Looks nice. Dark lager brewed with all the spices, sure. Okay. So I will give them this in the nose. The spices are not attacking my, the aroma. The aromatics are not like too big with the spice, which is nice. I'm definitely getting clove. I'd say in order, it goes clove, ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg. But I would say the clove and the ginger are leading the way. Almost gingerbread-esque. The base lager has this really nice like dark bread quality to it. For sure, maybe a touch of like a chocolate caramel thing going on. Maybe a little slight like roasted malt quality, toasty, maybe more than roasted. Yeah, brown bread for sure. Oh man, it smells pretty good. And I'm getting a little bit of brown sugar now as I go back, like the caramelized sugars, like the caramel, the toffee, maybe even a little butterscotch, but more to the brown sugar side of things. Touch of like an earthiness. Yeah, smells pretty good. What I like about the aroma is, like I said, it's not spice driven. It's there, it's noticeable, but it's not too big, and you definitely get the base lager. So I'm hoping this is quite drinkable because I think that's kind of what you want from a beer like this. Anyway, let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. You know what? That's pretty solid. I will say this. I don't think they went nuts with the spice, and I appreciate that. But I think I'd want a little bit more, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know if I've ever said that about like any winter warmer that has spices, or even a pumpkin beer that has like spices in it. A lot of times they're overdone. I think I want a little bit more spice in here. The body, medium bodied at 5.7%, really nice. It's not thin whatsoever. The mouthfeel has a nice crisp, like just under moderate carbonation. And it has a nice smooth finish to it, really easy to drink. But the taste is not overly complex or like bombastic or boisterous, or, there's not a lot of intensity to flavors, but it's really nice and easy to drink. So at the front of the palate, a lot of brown bread, a little bit of like a cocoa powder maybe a touch of like a coffee roast, but this has more of like a toasted kind of feeling from like toasted brown bread at the front of the palate. Chocolate and coffee right after that. As it passes through though, that brown sugar and toffee and caramel are definitely there, but they're subdued, a little bit dialed back. I was getting a lot of brown sugar the last couple sniffs in the nose, but now it's not as sweet, which is welcomed, but it kind of hits like midway through the palate. Then on the second half of the palate, the spices come in. I'm getting more of like a cinnamon dryness, a little bit of that, I would say more clove than ginger. Really not picking up on the nutmeg. And again, very subtle, nuanced from the spices. I finish this semi to full on dry. Really no bitterness here. Maybe a perceived bitterness from like that cinnamon dryness. Has also like a slight earthy kind of spicy hop character, but again, very slight, like very, very mild when it comes to the bitterness. This is a really easy drinking dark lager, which I wouldn't have anticipated based on the fact that there's, 4 different spices in here. I would have thought, so many breweries just come to the forefront with the spices, and they didn't do that here. And the funny thing is, this might be the first beer where I'm like, I wish they would have been a little bit more intense, honestly. Let's see if pouring in almost the rest of the beer changes anything. And maybe a little bit more of a cinnamon. This is solid. That's what I would say about this one. This is a solid, winter warmer to some degree. It's 5.7%, kind of fits in the winter warmer style or ABV. It has 4 different spices in it. It's a dark lager though. Here's what I'll say about this. If you're kind of afraid of winter warmers or something like this, where you see all the spices, don't be. Especially if you like dark lagers. Again, they're nuanced, they're subtle, they're not over the top. So this is like a very subtly spiced dark lager, which I think a lot of people who like darker lagers could get behind. For me, I enjoy it, but I want more spice. Like ramp up the spices like 5 to 10%, and I think I'm a happy camper. And I would like, I think, a little bit more ginger to give that like ginger. I feel like this would have a big gingerbread feel if the ginger was more prominent, because a lot of the malt base screams to me like gingerbread. So yeah, Fuggly Sweater, the 2022 release from Ithaca. Like I said, awesome label on this one. I have no problems giving this beer a very solid, real solid 3.75 out of 5. If I had more spices, we get in the low 4 to 4 range. Good beer. I don't remember what I paid for this. I want to say this was under $3, and I think 4 packs were like 10, 11 bucks. Ithaca is a great price point. I want to say this was like $10.99 a 4-pack. And I think I bought a single can for like $2.79 or something. If that's the case, that's a really good fucking price. And availability, it's Ithaca. If you live in New York State, you should see them. I think this goes back, maybe up to 5 years. They used to get distribution into like, I think PA, Ohio, maybe a couple other neighboring states of New York. I don't know if that's the case anymore. So if you're outside of New York State, do you get Ithaca stuff? Have you ever seen this beer? Have you seen their Flower Power? I feel like they do get some distro outside of New York, but I have no idea where that is outside of maybe PA and Ohio. So yeah, if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. 5.7%, maybe a slight warming into the chest, which, I don't know, I think you're going to see this after Samuel Smith's Winter Welcome Ale that I did this year. And that was the same thing, 6%, a little bit warming in chest. I'm getting that from this, which is nice because it plays into the whole winter warm realm, right? It has a feel of a winter warmer. It's a little bit of warming sensation. It's colder. You want that. So yeah. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers. And check back next Wednesday for another West New York Wednesday. Double cheers.